Can popular music be art? I'm gonna say yes because art is like an expression of a person and it's meant to be appreciated. So I think definitely yeah, it can be.
I think anything can be art. Personally, if you, well, people have said that if you put enough work into anything that you do, you can be considered an artist because this is your craft, this is what you're doing. So you can think of it that way. But I do think there is better art than what's being made in popular music today. So I'll make that argument. And so yeah.
I think it's like subjective. I think it is because it's like an expression of like passion. Like, this is like what they enjoy. Like a lot of times, like in popular music, it's like stories of their life and things that are relatable. So I think it is art, but I think it's also perception. Like there's some people that don't think like country music's art, that don't think rap is art, and so I think it's largely perception. But I think pretty much anything can be art. If you intend it to be, but I think it's largely perception.
In my opinion, I think like it's a form of art, but I guess the argument that she's trying, or I think people try to make is like, is art something that can be created, like duplicated, and that's like that kind of ties into the whole video we're talking about, like background singers, how they're trying to match like the artist, but like sometimes you kind of think like, even like in the rap game, like we kind of say that most rappers always like sample other people's music, and they kind of like, does that make their piece of art, or is it just kind of like them duplicating somebody else's work?
So I said that like imitation isn't art.
Yeah.
Like if it's not original, then it's not considered art. But when you really think about it, what's original nowadays? Like,
everybody's got like their influences and inspiration.
Yeah.
And it's like they have people they want to like model their style after, like especially in rap. So there's like so many influences, and so there's a little bit of uniqueness. Like I feel like when people say it's all getting like the same, it's a lot of the themes are like starting to get repetitive. Like
that's true.
It's sounding the same. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like the beats are still really good, but like you're pretty much just modeling like album after album, either what somebody just did or like what's and like some stuff like fades out and comes back.
Yeah.
And so
it's kind of funny though, because I saw like, this is still on topic actually, on Twitter. Did anybody see that post with the girl? This guy was talking to his younger cousin, and that song that Drake just dropped, "Nice for What," was in the background, and the guy was like, "Oh, I didn't know he copied Lauryn Hill or something like that."
Yeah.
But that was Lauryn Hill's original song, so I think that kind of ties into like we're talking about, can popular music be art?
Pharrell Williams got sued 2 or 3 years ago for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And Kanye West samples like everything. You can go on YouTube and just pull up his music, and like literally like, all his songs are sampled.
Yeah, but people sample like Aaliyah, Prince, like
all the time.
Yeah.
So does it make their art, like what they create, is that considered art?
I think so, because it's like their expression or like their take on the music. So I think in some way it can be like art.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess people say like if it sells, then it's art. But also
no.
Like, because people are like buying it. So somebody thinks it's good.
But do they see it as like art or entertainment? Like, does the artist view it as art, and like the mass public or like media view it as entertainment, or does like everybody view it as art?
But is art not entertainment? Are they different?
Okay, so that's what. Okay. That's a good point.
Because this is so subjective.
What is Frank when they're talking about like Benjamin, he's like describing what he thinks art is, and he says it reflects conflicts and tensions in a society. However, we are not normally aware of these conflicts, and it's often disturbing. So like you're talking about, is art like it really determines, like it depends on the person. It's your perspective, but that's also a good question. So
because people are like, what is his name? Edgar Allan Poe and how sad he is. That is art. He is a poet. And also people are like, I like to read about trees and sunshine. I don't want to read about death and sadness. So, you know, I guess it is subjective and like who's reading it and what they want to see. Which is why I think a lot of artists now are just popular. Like people will buy whatever they make, that person makes. So that's the problem there. Like, are they buying for the art or are they doing it just because they like the person?
Yeah.
Because personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Drake, but I know he's popular, and I get that.
I mean, not a rapper, but he's good. Like, I mean,
Yeah, not a rapper. But yeah, like Beyonce, she has her following.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
people will
I like a lot of their older stuff too.
Yeah.
Like so much better than the newer stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I really like a lot of the original, like Drake. I like him better before. Nicki Minaj, like all of them.
Yeah.
Like a lot of their earlier stuff is right now it's just not really impressive to me personally. But
see, and that's so hard because that's why it's hard for me to agree that popular music is really art. Because I feel like when they first started off, like their mixtapes, underground stuff, like that was what they created. Like they may have like influence, like okay, I want to kind of have that Tupac sound, but like the words in itself, the beats, all of that was what they created. But now it's kind of like they're just sampling stuff just to put stuff out,
just to stay relevant.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
I think of like NGA and like Run DMC.
Yeah.
And like Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
And it's like how they like define the genre.
Yeah.
And it's like they were artists for sure. Cause, like, they like created like this entire scene, and everyone is duplicating and or like taking variations of that. So it's like, did it start out as art and like not become art, or like does it?
Like that Rihanna article, and they were talking about how like all of the songs and the beat, they were just literally just changing a few things and then just handing it out to art. Like how you could just make a song like that. Like I don't know, it's kind of hard for me. I feel like it shouldn't be that easy. Yeah, it might be art to them because they're creating whatever this song, but it's still like
if it all sounds the same.
Yeah, if it all sounds the same, and it just I don't know. I guess the value kind of depreciates a little bit.
Like the definition of cookie cutter. Like,
yeah.
I think it's really important, like why we like their earlier stuff better, because that's when they were like struggling and like trying to get to where they are. But now that they're there, they're just like mass producing whatever kind of thing, and that's not like when you rap and sing about like your hardships and then your triumphs. That is what people want to hear. But then, like once you've made a name for yourself, you can put out whatever, and nobody really cares, which is disappointing. But
and that's why it's kind of interesting because like I guess in the lecture she asked us like what happens to art once we can reproduce it. I think it depreciates.
Yeah,
definitely so.
For sure.
And then she was like, the idea of art, they believe it can't be duplicated. That's what makes art different from. That's what you consider art, something that can't be duplicated. And me, I think that's true. Like, who's gonna really be able to make another Mona Lisa? Like the Mona Lisa is the Mona Lisa. Like it'll never. You can try to match the artist's style, but it will forever be the Mona Lisa. So
yeah, I mean, I think there's like a few music artists like that. That's like Eminem. Like nobody can do what he's doing. So I mean, it's just.
I mean, it's just. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I feel like there's a few people that like really get it, and like it's art.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's just so unique, and then, but for a large, it's mass replicated, and it sort of takes away from what they've done, like their art.
I think there is an art in duplication, because like if somebody could like put side by side Mona Lisa in like a forgery, you can barely tell the difference. That's pretty impressive, but still the original is the original.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Like that's skill.
There's no competition. There's skill, but there's no creativity because.
I mean, I think art, like part of it's like originality, like were you the first person to do it?
Yeah. That's where true art comes from. Like your imagination, because nobody else can do that. So there's, I like that.
Because during all this talking about like the whole like going off what you said, like freedom and individuality, being able to like make something new, and like how we're talking about how the music business kind of like wants more just like money profit versus just like actually creating something different. So that whole like advertising piece goes into that, like when they're talking about manipulation and it just being more about like I think it's more about quantity versus quality a lot of times. So that's just my take on it. But
I mean, it's definitely become an industry.
Yeah, it's all about money, I guess. Like
Everything else.
Right.
yeah.
It always comes back to money.
Because I think about sometimes like even art. Yeah, you have art. Some people make art to like sell, but like once you sell it and the person buys it, it's kind of like what do they use it for? Like they appreciate the art, so it's kind of like it may have that one means of exchange, but at the end of the day, it's not like I don't know. It's like art is not something that you could actually. It's not like food. Like you can't just consume it and then it's gone. Like you appreciate it, so it's kind of. I think that kind of goes the same thing that goes the same way for music, because once you buy that song on iTunes, you're not just gonna like stare. You're listening to it, so like you're appreciating the song and the lyrics. So it's kind of that's the way I see it. But
and there was something that Beyonce said about how people don't tell stories anymore. They just mass produce whatever kind of thing. And so I think with her album Lemonade, that was the whole point, to tell a story, because it's like a whole, basically like a movie.
yeah,
If you really listen to it, it's like a lot of allusions to like Black culture, her personal struggles, like her miscarriages and her problems in her marriage, and like being a mother and all of that, and just like her family and just things like that. And so I was thinking, like, no one else has done that for a while. I don't think, like, told a story about themselves, and it wasn't really about the money. I don't think. Yeah, J. Cole.
But he told his friend's story, right, in that album. It wasn't like really his story, was it?
I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't think it was really about the money for her, because she didn't put it on a lot of like streaming websites, like Spotify doesn't have it. What is it? It's not on Apple Music or anything like that. It's just on Tidal, which is a promotion for herself, but whatever. But yeah, it wasn't really about making the most money possible. It was about putting her story out there and being a storyteller, like going back to that. Because even she hasn't done it for a while. Like, and so.
And it's like, is it still art if it's like just for yourself or like for a very small group of people?
Because then it's not really relatable. And art should be relatable. That's another thing that I read somewhere.
Oh, so then would that make popular music relatable? I mean, art then? Because
I think it's perception. Like,
because popular music, like, is it? I don't know. It's not just more about being relatable, but just kind of like I don't know how to explain it. Like
we enjoy it, but I do like really appreciate it as well.
That's true.
Like it makes the time pass.
Yeah.
So I mean, but does it?
A feeling song.
Yeah.
Feel good song or whatever.
Yeah, it's like in the next like 2 weeks you're on to like a different song. So
Yeah.
I don't think that we really like appreciate it.
That's another thing. But maybe it doesn't have to be like a long-term appreciation. Just like in the moment I feel something. And that's what makes that art. I don't know, but like I said, anything could be art. So, but yeah, I'm just thinking like Adele sings about like heartbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
I've never had my heart broken, but I love most of her music. So like I can't relate to that, but I get that it's good. I don't know. If you feel like I have my heart broken before.
Cause see, like that's all like I personally view as art. It's like, what do you like? Did you make this to mass produce? Like, did you really put your time? Like, is this like your story, or like is it an issue that you're like super like concerned about? Cause like Eminem's new album, it was like the first 10 songs are about sex, and it's like, okay, I get it.
Right.
You enjoy this, great, relatable, but it's just like. And the last one he throws on there is like about the school shootings and like the NRA and like bashing the conservative like politics and all. It's like that seems so random. Like it's just like like you're passionate about like these issues and like you're expressing it like totally cool, but it's like it doesn't. You put that after like
doesn't really make sense.
And so it's like
it's not cohesive.
Very true.
Maybe like you release this as a single and don't put it on your album. Like And so it's just like, and there's another guy, NF. I don't know if y'all listen to him. He's on the rise. He's been compared to Eminem a lot, but like he raps about like his issues, like his like addiction to pills, like his mom passing away, like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I think that's more art than a lot of the stuff. It's like Drake and like a lot of the mainstream artists are doing. It's like this guy's been doing this for like 3 or 4 years and like just finally starting to get that recognition and like and like get big. And it's like his stuff's super. It's really great because it is relatable and it's like the hard stuff to talk about, but like makes it easier because it's like it's in music, so you can understand it. So I think that is more so art for me than like a lot of the records that are being out, like Eminem's last record, like Drake, like God's Plan, like that whole record. And so it's just, I want it to be like personable. It's like, is this like, does it like if it matters to you, then it's like it's probably gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
That's another thing. Like, why do they create their art?
Right.
I feel like a lot of artists in their earlier times were doing it to get names because they loved their craft and they wanted to be like recognized for it and all of that. But as they get further into it, it's just to stay relevant. And so like, I don't know, if you're doing it just because you love it and you don't really care about the recognition and you don't really care about the money, I think art is a lot better when it's like that, when it's just something that you have a passion for and you do it not for recognition but like for your own personal self, like, because that is what people can relate to. I think if we can't really relate to the whole I'm rich and famous thing, nah.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to hear about, but you know you can't relate to that. But like when it's just human emotion being expressed, we all can relate to that. And so I think that's when art is at its best.
Yeah.
So like that's a good point that you made because like when she was talking in class about how people like social class can like influence what people believe or perceive to be at like art. I can't think of what she said. Like what? Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, like the whole idea of like pure possibility. People like going to the museum and like actually learning more about like different types of art and like how it actually comes about, you know, and creating it. Versus like the real possibility, like some people don't have access to go to like. Do you think that social class and like economic, like all that kind of plays into like how we perceive art or what we perceive to be art?
I think
or do you think that doesn't matter?
Matters for like visual art.
Okay.
Because visual art, like paintings and sculptures and stuff like that, is seen like it's perceived as being people of like higher education. Kind of thing. Music is for everybody. Nobody really thinks that way about music, but like. When you go to museums, you think it's for scholars and things like that. So that's a thing for like visual art.
Yeah, because she was like the visiting relationship is determined by the class, and education is like the closest relationship to that. But I don't know, like that's so hard for me to say because I feel like even when you go to a museum, like you may not understand like the process of like actually how it was created, but being able to interpret it. I think that's dependent on the person. Like, I don't think your education should. I mean, it can in a way. Like, if you're drawing a painting about, like, I don't know, like maybe you went to a war zone and you're drawing a painting, people don't know like what the war was about when it started, like the background information. But I feel like the feeling and emotion, you can get it from looking at it. Like, if you're painting something that's really sorrowful, you're not gonna be like, oh, it's happy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that's hard for me. I don't know.
But that's the thing. Like, yeah, when they get in front of it, they can understand it, but it's a matter of getting them in front of it. Like, getting them to the museum.
That's true.
And, like, because, like, you'll see a museum, like, that's not really for me, kind of thing. But you can say, who does the paintings on the walls? Like, the Banksy, is it?
I think so. Like, the graffiti or something?
Yeah, the graffiti. Yeah, like, anybody can walk past that and see it.
Yeah,
so that is
true.
for the people and not really, like... Because, honestly, only basically rich people go to museums for like
hard. That's so sad.
Yeah, it really
you know,
is.
It's free, like, but it makes me wonder, like, what really is it? Is it that we aren't like? You think it could be different? So, like, maybe we can teach our kids in school, like, to about it.
I think it's low-key like a cultural expectation. Like between like the higher class, it's like we have to be seen going here. Like we have to understand this. Like this is like our culture.
Yeah.
Like we don't go to like sporting events or like if we do we sit in the box or like it's like that cultural expectation like you're supposed to be like seen here and understand this and be able to talk about this. Because like when I went to Witherspoon, it's like I just saw like penises everywhere, and like female genitalia, and I'm just like, I don't
This is a little weird.
like these are sculptures, sure, and it's like, are you celebrating like sexuality or like what? I don't just like I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
But with like music, I think it's like it's for everybody. It's not really like you don't make music for like a certain socioeconomic class.
Yeah.
It's like across the board. Like a lot of the artists that do make music, it's like they're in that top 1%. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and so it's I don't know. I think it's largely cultural expectation, but at the same time, it's like is it maybe something you just enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really mixed on it. I don't.
It's hard for me to think because like even when if you think about classical music, like some people would even go as far to say like most like classical. Not a lot of people listen to classical music, which I actually do listen to it regardless of social class or whatever. But to think that like what's more like how you're trying to say like what's more attainable, like what do you hear more? You hear more popular music or you hear more classical music? You hear more popular music, like you can go to the grocery store and hear stuff like that versus like you know some people, some families might be like, okay, you need something to learn, you need to listen to, but we always see that kind of funny thing in like the TV where they're talking about, oh, the rich couple makes their kid like listen to Beethoven or whatever when they're younger, that kind of thing. But like just going to the store, you kind of hear popular music, so it's kind of more, you know, I don't know, like I guess the value is not, people think that it's not as, I don't know how to explain it.
I remember reading somewhere that's also like a huge advertising thing because it's like if you hear a song that you listen to daily and love, it's like you're gonna go in like and so I mean it's like I don't know, there's a lot of layers, so I don't even know.
That's so hard to.
I mean, it
This
really
is probably one of the hardest.
it
discussions
really
I think
is.
we've had. It just depends on your perception, honestly. I think the popular music can be art, but I don't think it's as appreciated as something that's like unique, like something that's created, like started completely different. Because I will say, when I first like heard like I don't know what Kanye's song was, one of his songs like that he had sampled, like it sounded great. Yeah, he sampled it and made it his own. But like when you go back and like I listened to the YouTube videos where like you can actually they pulled the songs apart and you're listening to his part versus like the sample part and you're like. So now every time I
You're
hear
not
the
even
song,
trying anymore.
yeah, I'm like, so now every time I hear the song, I'm like, dang, is this? I mean, yeah, it's art. He created it, but I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't as bomb as it was when I first heard it. So
Getting lazy.
yeah, I was like, dang, like you really wonder, yeah.
So
So
you got all these like young people and like 19 and 20 coming up, and it's like you're fading out because you're doing the same thing over
Yeah.
again. It's like you're not even trying anymore.
and then you buy the album. It was so funny because I bought his album too. I bought like that was way back. It was this old album. You know, you buy the CDs or whatever. Yeah. And I was just listening to it, and like a lot of his songs were like sampled from like the same type of song too, like the same beat. And I was really feeling like, dang, I'm kind of hurt, Kanye. Like I thought you were the man, but really, like yeah, you.
Like you pay somebody to produce this.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm
produce
as
different
the
beats. Like,
the customer and your fan. I feel like I'm being cheated, kind of
Yeah.
like.
it's like,
So it's kind of.
you have a guy that works like only for you doing this.
Yeah.
Like, that's his only job is to make beats
Make the
for
beats,
you.
exactly.
Like that's it. It's like you own your own label. Like what are you? I just
That's
I
why I
don't
was
know.
laughing with that Rihanna article because I was like, dang, not Rihanna too. Like that's crazy.
I'm just thinking, are they making music like that just because they can?
I
You know,
mean,
like I feel like an early.
I think it turns into a career for
pressure.
like it's a
Yeah.
job for a lot of them.
artists just starting out, they can't do that and to get the same recognition as like Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
and Rihanna.
Definitely, because people will be like, oh
Exactly.
man, you don't sound like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You just trying to copy Homeboy or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus,
But I feel like once you like, is that like an earned respect thing?
yeah, you do what you want.
Like
Yeah.
Kinda.
you put your time in, and it's like
Yeah.
you got like a few songs that are just really really good,
Yeah.
and so it's like the natural order of things. Like you just
Yeah.
come up.
Yeah.
It's like you're not good until it's like Drake or like Kanye. Like you're featured by Eminem or like someone that's good, and they're like, yeah, this young guy's really good.
Yeah.
Like, you're not good until someone says you're good,
Yeah.
or like you're featured on like a top tier album or something. So I mean,
Yeah, because you can honestly think like, I feel like most people when they start out, like that's how most mixtapes are, like when they are not like out there, you can just find them on YouTube. You're like, oh dang, this really sounds good, because I think they're trying to find their voice, who they are, and then once they find it and they like join that the music business, it's kind of like, okay, now it's more about just getting stuff out there, making the money, like continue, like we're always pressuring like our favorite artists to be like, okay, where's your album? When is it dropping? And when they drop it, we're like, oh dang, like you kind of just making stuff to drop an album because you haven't said, you don't want to, lose your relevance.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes with that too.
You guys know what's his name? Machine Gun Kelly. MGK.
Yeah.
MGK. Yeah.
My sister loved his early stuff.
He was
Yeah.
really
When
good.
he started making music with like pop artists now, she's just like, I'm done with him. He's
Wow.
disappointed me.
Yeah, there was a big one from BB Rexa like last year. Bad Things.
Yeah. And like, what's her name? Camila
Cabello.
Yeah, her.
Fifth Harmony chick.
Yeah, she was like, he's just.
Yeah.
I want to support him because I know he's good, but also right now he's not doing it. He's not doing it for me. And I was just, I hear the difference. I definitely do. Like, she would play some music from his earlier stuff. I would hear what he was talking about there. I'm like, okay, not into rap, but I get this. Yes, all right. And then now it's just like he's just playing along with like singers who are already doing stuff, and it's like you kind of lost. He's kind of
Making a
lost his
career out of
voice.
like being featured.
Yeah. Nah.
I mean, that's how it was in BB Rexa. Like, he did a thing with Florida Georgia Line. And just, like, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. It's like,
Yeah.
you guys are like, specifically country, like that's your niche. Like, that's your niche.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all your music sounds the exact same. But that's
Yeah.
your niche. And it's like, BB Rexa, like, her album, like, her solo album, like, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, I don't even know what to say. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
it's not as good.
Yeah.
So, cause I feel like everybody's like becoming hip hop. Like, rap is becoming hip hop. Country is starting to become hip hop. I'm just like, there's not really any like distinctions
Everybody
anymore.
can't do that, okay? But
Yeah, it's
I'm just thinking now. Can we fault them for like?
it's money
Okay.
news.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, exactly. Because, like, they have their art that they want to put out, but they know that won't sell as well as what they could put out.
Oh,
So
that's
they're
very
like-
true.
'cause, like,
Yeah.
people like, they buy collabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you have what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, could popular music even really be art? Because it's like, if
Yeah.
we're making it not just like, yeah, you want your like fans to like it and appreciate it, but you're like how you're saying, like you're just putting out there because what you really want to say, you feel like it's not going to get that attention because now people don't really know about it or they don't care about it. Versus people want to hear music that makes them feel good, not like that makes them sit and think, dang, like what can I be doing? What can I do to make the world better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when they're talking about art reflects conflicts and tensions in a society. Rarely, like, are we really bumping music that like has some real issues going on? And when we do, we're kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, but I want to hear that Drake song. You know, what is it? I can't think of what his songs that are just like it's not relevant to anything. Like a feel good song.
Like One Dance.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Like you just to dance. The only
Versus
It's good
that rap
clubbing.
song. Dang it, Lord, I can't think. You guys know what I'm talking about though.
But yeah, that goes back to the question, like, is their art being sacrificed for like capital?
Oh, definitely,
Oh yeah.
definitely.
And so is it art then?
I kind of changed my mind.
We
Like,
just gone in a circle.
we were all
I don't
know. I don't know. I really, it's hard for me, and I can't even blame them because I definitely was downloading those songs, so I'm supporting it.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like a hypocrite because I'm talking about it, but I support it.
Oh yeah.
So
I think it's just not as good as it could be.
I think it's a craft. I don't think it's an art. I think it's like a craft. Like to be able to say that Drake and Kanye and all these, they can sample music and make a hot beat that everybody want to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a craft, but is it art? No. That's just my opinion.
It requires skill somewhat.
Yeah.
I think art's in the originality, and then
Yeah.
it turns into a craft, and it starts to
Yeah.
like, be duplicated.
Just like how you can say like, oh no, that's kind of too far off. Never mind. So I was thinking like you can say, No, well, because a job kind of just no. Never mind. The two left. That's not a good example.
Okay, then poppy music is not art because it's more about the money, and art should be.
I mean, maybe art to someone.
Unique.
So it's like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe to
I think
the person making the
interpretation.
beats,
yeah, like, it might be art to them.
because they created a different beat
Yeah.
on top of a beat.
It's
But
like, we might think Kanye just like ripped a bunch of songs, but it's like
He
to
thinks
him
it's
that
art.
might be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what he
No.
did, but
yeah,
but like to him that might be. No, like, that might be his self-expression.
But even like taking pieces of other songs and creating something
It's
new.
still. I mean,
Still like kind of like an art.
Yeah.
but what if you don't really care for that genre of music? It's like, do you value it as art? So it's.
I'm gonna be honest though. I'm not a big country music fan, but like you can listen to old country songs, and I'm like, I still think it's art because they created it. Like they made
Yeah,
those.
modern country is just hip hop.
Those
Let's-
not yeah.
let's-
I mean, I don't have,
let's
I'm
be
not really
honest.
on the country scene,
I
but
mean, it's-
I would still appreciate it and be like, okay, they created this. This is new, or whatever.
Original.
But yeah, an
Yeah.
original. But yeah, versus.
We're
no,
good if
I
y'all
think
want to stop. It's like 31 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Go group.